The great thing about being married is when you're sick, you have somebody you can complain to night and day, and they have to hear you. They have to. Which came in handy last spring when I had a compacted sinus. I don't know if anybody here has ever had a compacted sinus. If you ever have a chance, don't. You know, sometimes when you sneeze, you're like, achoo, and then you'll sneeze again right away, achoo, achoo, and then you get kind of lightheaded. You have that moment like, where it's like being hit in the nose, like, ooh. Okay, when you have a compacted sinus, when you sneeze, it's like somebody's fucking your head with an axe. It's just, ow! I was at work and I sneezed, and all of a sudden I got very pale and just started walking backwards till I hit a wall and stood there for 45 minutes because it hurt so bad. And then my manager at work came up to me and said, "Hey Ryan, maybe you want to die somewhere else. Don't die here. Go away." I was very pale. I was sweating. My head screamed. It sucked so bad. So I said, "Okay, I'll go to the hospital." So I drove myself to the hospital, and they took some blood, and they did an X-ray of my head because, like, I had you could clearly see something was going on. So they did an X-ray. They took some blood, and I always thought blood tests took like 2 or 3 weeks, but they have all the shit there to test it. Like, a blood test actually takes very few minutes if they know what they're looking for. So they did a blood test. They took an X-ray, and they said, "You have a compacted sinus." And what that was is one sinus got infected, and then it blocked the other one. So I had this big, it looked like somebody had put a condom in my forehead with a cock still in it. So imagine, and I already have a Kelsey Grammer sized head. I have a big fucking head. So imagine this with a dick right there. So they say, "Okay, we have a compacted sinus. You're probably experiencing some pain when you're sneezing." I said, "Well, I wouldn't say some pain. It's kind of like being fucked by an axe." They said, "We consider that some pain. So what we're going to do with you now is we're going to give you a concentrated form of medicine that your stomach won't be able to break down. So we're just going to shoot it into your arm." And my first question was, if my stomach can handle it, maybe you shouldn't be shooting it directly into my arm. But before I could get that out, I just went, too late. They already had the needle in. She stuck the needle in, and then she went, "Oops." When somebody sticks 4 inches of steel into your arm, you don't want to hear "oops." The only thing you want to hear is "there," or "good." She goes, "Oops," and then she stood back, leaving the needle dangling from my arm. The needle fell out, and I shot blood all over the wall. And then thought to say, "Hey, fix that?" And she goes, "Ooh, blood." You don't want your nurse to go, "Ooh, blood." I'm shooting blood all over the wall. Stop. So she got a bigger needle, stuck it up further in my arm, and went, better. We put some cotton on the thing. She took a vial of blood, and then she left the 4-inch needle in my arm and put 4 inches of tubing on top of that, put a clip on it and said, "I'll be back." So I just stood there. Okay, she comes back about 10 minutes later with an IV. She hooks it up, and she says, "Okay, sit down." So I sit down, and then she goes, "The drugs will be kicking in about 2-3 minutes. I think that's everything." She goes to walk out of the room, and she goes, "Oh, fluid container." And I was like, "Ooh, pink pink unicorn? Are we just yelling shit back and forth? What? She goes, you need a fluid container. And she gave me this, it was a bucket. And I was like, that's a bucket. She goes, no, it's a fluid container. I know I've lost a lot of blood, but I know what a fucking bucket looks like, all right? She goes, hold the bucket under your head. And so I took the bucket, I'm like, what do I need that for? The drugs have been in my system for about 2 minutes. And I'm like, what do I need? Before I could say, what do I need this bucket for? My nose started running. Not running like, hey, you gotta wipe your nose. But like piss. I was pissing out of my head. I was like, ah! Like if you took a shampoo bottle and squeezed it. For 3 hours. Apparently the whole point of the medicine was to let my nose feel what my dick goes through every day.